Now I would like to invite Mr. Sridhar Kosaraju, President IT-AAP, Niamo Soft System Private Limited, to enlighten us about future of experimental learning model FDP. Over to you, sir.
Very good evening. Very good evening to all of you. In the interest of time, because already we are delayed by more than 2 hours it seems. So I'll try to cut short my talk, and already earlier speakers, because the same topic has been given to multiple speakers already, my earlier speakers have spoken about experiential learning or experimental learning. Already they have covered the outline, so I don't want to get into the outline again. I don't want to repeat the entire, the basic outline of it, and I'll try to keep my focus on something which has not been spoken. In fact, I was actually asked to speak on experiential learning from the faculty point of view. That is a faculty development and faculty point of view. So I'll try to speak a little bit from the faculty point of view. So I am first of all honored to represent the IT Association of Andhra Pradesh. So I'm the current state president of IT Association of Andhra Pradesh. We say ITAP. So I'm honored to be here on behalf of the association here. And we know, like a post-pandemic, the way we learn, the way we teach, both have been changed a lot. There are a lot of trends, whether you say it as something like a blended learning model to infusing a lot of technology elements into the traditional classrooms. The way we learn has been changed a lot. New norms have been created in the entire learning journey, entire learning process. So how do we really, take this particular new norms and new way of learning, so in future? Even if you look at the National Education Policy 2020, the whole focus has been shifted from the traditional cognitive learning to this experiential learning particularly. So the way the learning to be done is the emphasized in this entire policy is completely different. So if you look at what are the important aspects, particularly with respect to the future of experiential learning, if you look at, I see there are 3 major things with respect to this future learning. One is like a personalized learning and experiential learning, and the third one I say mastery-based learning. So out of all these 3, experiential learning is very important. I think it has got a lot of traction in the past couple of years, and it's been proven as a successful model, the way we learn. So what is experiential learning? Of course, I don't want to get into the again basics and all. What is experiential learning? So learning something by doing, learning from the experience, rather than learning something based on the content study and all that we have been traditionally doing from the long time. So if you look at this particular thing and future learning, particularly from the faculty point of view, if you look at, I see, I would put it like this. There are 3-4 important aspects which, those faculties can consider to take this particular experiential learning, particularly from the future aspects. The one, shifting the entire learning process from surface learning to the deep learning. This deep learning is not AI, ML, DL. This is a different aspect. That is the one aspect I see seriously. And second, so using the design thinking process. Design thinking is more popular in the product development. Using the design thinking in the learning aspect and the teaching aspect. Second. Third, using emerging technologies, like my earlier speakers have spoken a lot on XR, metaverse and all, particularly the AR, VR components have got a lot of impact on the entire, the way we learn, the education ecosystem. So that is using emerging technologies like AI, particularly ML, AR, VR kind of technologies. The fourth, the industry and academia collaboration. Of course, this is a very gray area. Well, many times we speak about it, but there are a lot of gaps in the academia industry collaboration. So I wanted to put few thoughts, particularly from the experiential learning point of view. So these are the 4 areas I just wanted to touch upon, but in the interest of time, I'll try to spend a little time. I'll talk a little crisp on that. The first one which I mentioned in these 4 topics, the surface learning to the deep learning. The way, generally the traditional way of learning, we learn the content from the, whatever the content we have. So in the curriculum, we learn the content even as a faculty. So we teach the content. Though I represent a technology company, I had a technology company, but I'm also having a corporate training experience for the past 25 years. At least thousands of students have trained by myself as a corporate training for the big companies in our region. So as a trainer, as a faculty, I talk from the faculty aspect, not from the student point of view. So most of the times we teach in our universities and colleges, more on the content. We deliver the content, and where students try to, something like a rote learning kind of stuff. So we need to shift from this particular entire surface learning to the deep learning. The deep learning means here, so not just learning the content, rather analyzing content, understanding the concept behind it, experimenting with that particular thing, going beyond, extending this particular thing beyond this content learning kind of thing. I suggest few practices which are proven to be successful in this entire deep learning methodology. Like for example, I'll try to, put few things. The one thing, flipped classrooms. We know the way traditionally the classroom concept goes. The faculty delivers the content, then student studies the content, then they try to give some exam or assessments kind of thing. This is the way generally the traditional classroom concept works. Now, the flipped classroom is quite opposite to this entire concept, where as a trainer, as a faculty, so we just give the pre-read content. Instead of like, I don't mean to say giving an essay, giving a PDF, rather giving some short videos as a pre-read. So before student attend that respective lesson or respective content, so let the students go through that particular short videos, understand the concept, so then come to the classroom, and where a lot of activity is done, a lot of interaction is done, a collaborative effort is done on the pre-read content. So this is one of the proven model in this experiential learning. We call it as like under the deep learning sub aspect, we call it as a flipped classroom. Like that, there are a couple of other models which can be exercised by the faculties in the universities. So if you look at the other aspect, like practicing of the past, like past exam papers, or practicing the past papers, like giving a past paper, whatever the semester exam, whatever it may be, in the classroom, and asking the students to solve them and getting them solved by collaborative effort, not independently and not individually, rather getting it solved by the group of people so who are having that interest to solve them. So this is another aspect. And we know like taking a practical work, practical assignments as part of the classroom. Like these kind of aspects will improve, the deep learning aspect, and shifts the complete learning from the surface learning to the deep learning. So this is one of the 4 aspects that I touched upon, and I recommend for this particular aspect of the experiential learning from the faculty point of view. The second aspect, if you look at, of course, is a bit technical, and in the interest of time, I don't get into the details, like that is design thinking process. I'll try to put it in a crisp way. Design thinking is usually used by these product development companies with the innovation point of view. Design thinking is a customer orientation or human-centric approach. There are a couple of aspects are there. The fundamental approach or fundamental aspect is the empathy. That is seeing everything from the customer angle. Instead of developing the entire product by the design team or the technology team, they come with a prototype, and which will be tested by this particular market or the customers based on the feedback, and again they enhance the features. Like we know Apple iPhone, how popular it is, and one of the aspects that they have used to get that particular product are not only the product, apps on the Apple Play Store or App Store, is the design thinking. Design thinking is one of the serious aspects behind the success of the Apple or Apple products. So using the design thinking in the learning, in the training, in both the aspects, going to make this experiential learning very effective. I think that's going to be one of the elements which are going to dominate in the experiential learning in the future. Third thing is using the emerging technology, particularly 2 aspects. I won't go into the details. AR, VR, like our earlier session was on AR, VR, metaverse session. Now the penetration of the AI and AR, these 2 things are like very high in the education ecosystem. And if you look at the products which are there in the education ecosystem already in the market, particularly AR, VR, even if you look at the startups that have been working on this particular space, if you look at 10 startups are there in the market, 3 startups are in the health tech, and another 2 startups in means 20% of the startups are already working in this particular, the edutech space, particularly in the AR, VR space. A lot of content is being created because the AR, VR, using the technology, particularly AR, VR, is changing the entire learning mechanism, the way we learn drastically. Like I'll try to quote a couple of apps. I think most of you must have seen Skyview app. If you look at that, allows you to, allows the students to point that particular app to the sky in the night and watch the celestial objects, space objects from that particular AR, VR app. So you can understand. And using the 3D scanning mechanism as part of the AR, VR, integrated with the AR, VR, Now the medical students are able to understand and able to analyze the human anatomy very easily, which is very difficult. So unless we go to the practical experimentation or practical, view, it is very difficult to understand. Now it has become very easy for the medical students with the help of the technology, particularly we say AR, VR kind of thing. Like this, we can use that emerging technology like AR and we can make this experiential learning more effective. That's already been in place. I think it's going to be more dominating in the future. Similarly, the other most impactful one is AI. We know it is ubiquitous, almost like it is there, penetrated like into every aspect. And again, AI is not an exception. Sorry, education is not an exception. In education ecosystem also, AI penetration is very high. It's already being used by the people. We know how ChatGPT has revolutionized everything. And it seems 60%, more than 60% of the students are using ChatGPT to answer the questions, to clear the assignments, to do all their regular day-to-day assignments. See, it has come only in the December. And it is in the beta stages, not fully matured kind of stuff. But still, it's being used like anything. And it was the app with 100 million users in 10 days or 15 days. And it was the first app which has created that much of user base. So that is just a beginning. We have it is in the early versions and it is only in the beginning. And it is going to change a lot, that particularly the creative AI or generative AI which we say. So there are many other aspects. AI is being used by the universities. For example, if you look at experiential learning aspect, if you look at from AI and experiential learning, there are apps. If you look at, there is an app called, this chat litmus, where people can learn. Like somebody wanted to learn spoken English kind of thing, wanted to improve their English. So instead of getting it, trained from the experts, and particularly in the spoken English training, they can interact with this chatbot, where they can interact and they can chat with the chatbot and where they can learn. This is a kind of experiential learning where people are doing it with this AI. And AI is helping the trainers also. Now, as a trainer, preparing an assessment, preparing an exam paper is not very easy thing. Now we don't need to struggle a lot. If you have the content, either it is in the form of PDF or PPT, just load the content, automatically AI prepare the questions depending on the level which you want, and AI can prepare the question and papers. So it is helping a lot. And not only the faculty, not only the students, even at the institution level, if you look at the university level, and AI is helping particularly the big data and analytics, helping like anything, understanding the inclinations of the students and what are the challenges being faced by the students at a macro level. So AI is impacting a lot in the education ecosystem. I think we need to adopt as a trainer, as a faculty, we all need to adopt this particular emerging technologies. These are the three aspects, and the final aspect that I would like to touch upon, industry-academia collaboration. So we have been speaking about this, we have been talking a lot on this, but I wanted to emphasize two aspects here. When we talk about an industry-academia collaboration, if you look at from the Indian context, only IITs and NITs really the collaboration is happening up to some extent. If you look at a normal regular universities, okay, there are some prestigious universities, there is an exception. If you look at a regular universities, really there is no collaboration between the industry and academia. The suggestions, even from the association point of view, I represent the State IT Association, we talk a lot on this particular aspect in different forums. The proposed, the way of doing is, let the corporate industry, particularly the corporate industry, either you say manufacturing, IT industry, whatever the industry, pharma industry, so let them give some consulting work to the faculties. We know in the universities, most of the time faculties, they spend a lot of research on the paper submission. And because a lot of credits comes to that particular paper submissions, their focus is completely on the research papers. But they don't get the realistic industry experience with that paper submission. Of course, we are not saying no to it, but also the faculties, the trainers should be working more with the industry. We are in fact advocating, on this aspect. So we are trying to negotiate with the industries. Let them give some kind of consulting work to the faculties. In fact, in our AP, some of the companies we could advocate, and they are trying to do that. So give the consulting work to the faculties. So some of the research scholars who are working as a faculties, they take up the consulting work and they deliver the work, and it's not just only an economical benefit, but they get a lot of industry exposure because they are directly working with the industry. Not only they get the exposure, that particular exposure also will be transformed to the students whom they are trying it. So this is one important aspect in the academia industry collaboration. So it is not just like for MOU sake kind of thing. industry should really give the work, consulting work to the, faculties, trainers. So this engagement is definitely going to transform the trainers. Once the faculties and trainers are industry oriented, obviously that is going to show the impact on the students they are teaching it. So this is a fourth important aspect which is going to change the experiential learning, particularly the future of experiential learning. So these are the four important aspects I would like to touch upon from the experiential learning point of view. And I think I took a little time. And once again, thank you for the opportunity. Thanks to the organizers and thanks to Madhu particularly, who called me to speak here. Thank you once again. And I hope this conference is going to bring good insights, and these insights will be helpful both to the academia and also to the government agencies, and where they can derive a little more practical aspects to implement on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.